Today I'm going to show you how punctuation saves lives. Let's have a look at the joke. Let's eat, Grandma, versus let's eat, Grandma. So this shows you quite visually how important punctuation is in your sentences. So in the first one, let's eat, Grandma, versus let's eat, Grandma. Let me know in the comments, what do you think the joke means? So be aware of your punctuation when you are writing. It is vitally important to get your point across clearly. We have the comma, the full stop, exclamation mark, the apostrophe, and quotation marks. So here we've looked at the importance of the comma. A great visual example of how a tiny punctuation mark can completely change the meaning of a sentence. Let's move on to our next joke. My boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. What we're looking at here is to have a good day. So it's a phrasal verb and the situational context. So if we're looking at the difference between having a good day, enjoying your time, enjoying your day, and having a day off, which is when you are not working. So for example, you can have a good day, you could have a day off. The next one we have here is the book pun, and the joke is, I'm reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. So let me know in the comments, what do you think it means? If something is impossible to put down. So we've got put down as a phrasal verb. We know that it means to put something on a surface. Don't hold it anymore, put it down. If something is impossible to put down, it means that we are enjoying it so much that we don't want to put it down. We want to keep reading the book. So it's a play on words here. Anti-gravity, obviously anti-gravity, and impossible to put down. So with English jokes like this, the nuance is incredibly important. So we're looking at literal versus figurative language. And we looked at the idiom, impossible to put down. So it uses this in a fun, paradoxical way because of anti-gravity. The next joke we're going to look at. I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. What does he mean here with this joke? So in English, the word dough could be the dough that you used to make bread. And we also have a play on words with it, because to make dough could mean to make money. So then our joke takes on a different meaning. So we have the irony of dough with the baker and making money to make dough. Let's have a look at pronunciation here, because there's a nice example with couldn't make enough dough. So even though they both end in O-U-G-H, the pronunciation is completely different. Enough dough. So the lesson here is English slang and idioms. To make dough. Dough is a common slang term for money, which makes this double entendre. Double entendre is a double meaning. So we've got bread dough versus money dough. And that's what makes the joke click. The anatomy lesson. So why do we tell actors to break a leg? Because every play has a cast. So let's have a look here. We've got break a leg. It's an idiom. And a cast. So cast can be used in two different ways. We can talk about the cast of the play, which is the actors that are chosen. The cast in a movie as well are the actors chosen for that specific role in the movie. And a cast is also something we put on a broken bone. So you could have your arm in a cast or your leg in a cast. But why did we tell actors to break a leg? Break a leg means good luck. It's very bad luck to say to an actor, good luck. So instead, when we want to wish an actor well, we always say, break a leg. So this one links us to homophones and theatrical vocabulary. So we looked at break a leg, which is actually good luck. If you wish someone good luck, who is in a play, in a movie, in some type of show, don't ever say good luck, say break a leg. And then we talked about the double meaning of cast, the actors in a show versus the plaster for a broken bone. Next up we have the clock joke. So why did the man throw the clock out of the window? Because he wanted to see time fly. So in your mind, I'm sure you have a picture of a man literally throwing a clock out of the window to see the clock fly, to see time fly. So it's an English idiom. It helps explain the metaphor about time flies. So we talked about the literal action of an object, the clock, flying through the air. Whereas what we use often with time flies, we talk about when life is busy or we're having a good time and everything is just fun and enjoyable and time passes very quickly. So we say, wow, time flies when you're having fun. The mathematical mystery. Let's look at the joke. Why is 6 afraid of 7? This has been a very common joke for a long time. I can remember this even from when I was a kid. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. So this joke is a play on the sounds, the phonics of it. Because if we have a look with pronunciation, it's about 7, 8, 9, the numbers in sequence. Except 8, A-T-E, has exactly the same pronunciation as the number 8. So that's why 6 is afraid of 7. The library riddle. A riddle is normally a little joke, but a puzzle as well that you have to work out. I asked the librarian if the library had books on paranoia. She whispered, "They're right behind you." So what we're looking at here, we've got the past tense because I asked the librarian if the library had books on paranoia. Paranoia is about fear. It's about fear of being watched, about the fear of Big Brother, the fear that the world is perhaps controlled by things we are not aware of, and we become paranoid. So it's a fear of almost everything. So, ironically, with the librarian whispering or whispered in the past, they're right behind you. They're right behind you. So it creates fear. The person who's paranoid is already scared. So we looked at the vocabulary about paranoia and to be paranoid and the use of the past simple tense there. And we also looked at how it becomes theatrical, situational. So when we tell the joke, we whisper the second part because it makes it more scary. Links with the paranoia. The belt story. Why did the belt go to jail? Because it held up a pair of pants. What does this phrasal verb mean? We know that held up literally means to keep something up, to keep it in the same position. But held up also means to rob somebody. So a burglary, when you rob a person, you rob the jewelry store because you want to steal all the diamonds. Then the consequences, if you get caught holding up a place, means that you go to jail. So phrasal verbs with multiple meanings. We need to look at the context, and what makes this humorous is obviously the context of holding up a pair of pants. That is what belts are supposed to do. Or holding up a bank, holding up a pair of pants. Let's look at the sleepy skeleton. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. So what does it mean if you don't have the guts? So we've got two ways of looking at this here. If you don't have the guts to do something, it means you're scared, you're afraid, you're not brave, you're a coward. And literally, skeletons don't have guts. They don't have organs. So guts is also another word for organs, the inside parts of our bodies. So we're looking at an idiom, to have guts, having the guts, and the anatomy, skeletons, organs. So to have guts means to have the courage or bravery to do something. It's not talking about the literal organs. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed our lesson today on dad jokes and English. We've looked at punctuation, idioms, phrasal verbs, grammar. If you'd like to know more, please subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. And let me know in the comments which one is your favorite.